ये स्लिक फैब्रिक बनाते हैं हम। इसमें ये विड्थ किसी भी साइज और विड्थ में आ जा सकता है। ये इसको बेसिकली बोलते हैं टैबी स्लिक या पेपर स्लिक भी इसका नाम है। पेपर स्लिक भी इसको बोलते हैं। इस पे एक्चुअली बाहर किया हम बाहर बेचते हैं अपने बायर्स को। वो इस पे पेंटिंग करते हैं, स्लिक पेंटिंग। इसी फैब्रिक एज ए यूज करते हैं पीछे फैब्रिक। इसी पे स्लिक पेंटिंग होती है। तो उसकी बहुत डिमांड है, वो ज़्यादा फॉरेन टूरिस्टर्स लाइक करते हैं और उसकी रेट्स भी बहुत हाई होती है। तो अगर ऐसे वर्कर्स इधर आए पेंटिंग के लिए, फैब्रिक तो यहाँ पर हमारे पास है ही, इसी फैब्रिक पे यहाँ पर कोई बाहर के स्किल्ड वर्कर्स आए, यहाँ के वर्क बच्चों को सिखाएं ये।
There are different mediums of expressing art, and what type of substrate, what type of pigment, and what type of idea do we want to use and express and share with everyone changes the form of painting or graphics or drawing that we are trying to do. In our purview of silk painting, which is a very small purview in itself, which is a very small field and very specialized field in itself, we rely on the medium of silk fabric and expressing our natural surroundings, our various botanical as well as animal inspirations using pigments, dyes, and various acrylic paints on the surface of silk.
Silk has a tendency to become a medium to explore botanical art. Botanical art we usually restrain to files and projects, and one can use botanical art in order to take silk art to the aesthetic level. The piece becomes theme regarding surroundings of plant and its habitat.
Many students of life sciences, we are very good at depicting, illustrating, drawing, but our activities sometimes become mundane because we are copying from the book and onto a piece of file which probably has no connect to us. In this regard, the teacher can really spark interest in the natural life around by taking the students outside, bringing in plants and samples within the classroom, and allowing them to uh, take inspiration from those designs and try to draw them, dissecting the plants and observing their anatomy and trying to depict them. So, that is a very invested, very in depth way of understanding the morphology and anatomy of a plant. And when we are doing it on a silk painting, taking this concept of botanical art, we are making something which is interesting and fun for the student, and it takes the usability of the file that probably will be closed at the end of the semester. It takes this further to an item which can be used by the student in any other form. It can be a small pouch or a purse, or it can be a scarf that a student can further use. So what we are trying to say is that you are studying the flower, you are looking at its morphology, you're looking at its anatomy by doing the sectioning and counting the petals and the various components, but you are doing it from a very different perspective and on a different medium.
For a student who wants to take a science communication, illustration is very important. Your imagination has to get transferred onto same media. It may be a digital or a physical media, like acrylic canvas and silk and other type of fabrics.
As a student, take your knowledge of botany, your knowledge and your interest in plant life, think about stories that can go with them, think about how it represents a certain region, and these things can be depicted and utilized as a line of product that you can generate. So this silk painting has its history in the ancient Chinese, where they would, much before they had access to paper, they would utilize all sorts of media, all sorts of substrates, such as silk cloth, wood, stones, on which they would put in their illustrations, their calligraphy. Silk was a medium of choice because, first, it was a secret with the Chinese. They had the secret, sacred knowledge of rearing the silkworms, producing the silk thread, weaving it into a very luxurious material which was very resistant to wear and tear. It also could be used to create garments, and it was very much prized by the patrons who had artisans in their courts. So silk painting was a form of painting preceding uh, painting on paper. Also, Chinese are believed to be the inventors of paper as well, but silk precedes all that. So in the earlier times, they would take the silk and use different type of starches, maybe from rice, use different type of gums which are obtained from trees to primer the surface of the silk and then do the calligraphy. So calligraphy was the initial and the most sacred type of expression of art in the Chinese culture, and they used it to depict the normal day-to-day life, their stories, and to document various events on silk. Then silk was used as because it was such a feasible material, it could be cut up and stitched into different garments, and hence this form of silk painting was very much patronized.
Silk painting emerged in China, but the present form of silk painting is a very hybrid technique where we don't follow the same principles of silk painting as the Chinese do, but have added the concepts of batik painting, resist painting, as it was developed by the Europeans. So the form that we see now is the Surti French technique of silk painting. In this, we use a silk gutta resist, which is a plant-based resist, to form a boundary on the silk fabric. And within this boundary, the silk paint or dye is allowed to move.
Whatever is your desired end product, or whatever you are designing, maybe for home furnishing or maybe for um, uh, outerwear or sleepwear or scarves or bandanas or handkerchiefs or men's ties and pocket scarves. So you have to choose a fabric accordingly.
Once we have chosen a fabric, it has to be washed very thoroughly to remove any traces of oil or any starch that may be present on it, and once it is thoroughly clean, ironed, it is stretched on the frame and then a free hand using resist, and first with a pencil we will demarcate areas where we want to put a particular motif. We have briefly outlined our subject, which is the flower, and we are going to do outline with this water-based gutta.
So as you can see, this is the Surti technique where I am locking all the boundaries. Now when this is going to dry up and I'm going to paint it, the color will not flow out. Similarly, making other petals.
Once we have done with the designing, as you can see in the demonstration that how an artist is filling color in a motif. It is a crocus, which is a saffron flower. Gradually, an artist built up flowers and then giving them a background using silk paints. Afterwards, this is to be fixed by using a hot iron maybe for 10 minutes in the backside of the fabric, but with a lot of care without burning the fabric. Then fabric is left out for 24 hours and it can be washed to remove the resist and gutta. Once it's removed, now the fabric is ready for use. Doing personalization of painting itself is very important aspect because that is what your clients are looking for, and that's something reflecting their thoughts and personalities. Calligraphy based, flower based, or maybe memory based designing can also be done on various types of fabrics.
So as we have done this crocus based painting depicting the landscape as well as the life cycle and the botany of the plant, there is a lot of option and there is a scope for people who are doing handmade items to do these kind of very personalized, very elite gifting items, which are conveying your thoughts, your wishes, which a person can carry with them at all times. So this piece that you're going to see here, it has taken me four uh, slots to get it to where it is right now. So one day I had to do all the outlining, let it dry. The other days I started with the coloring, and then third day also I still colored with the flowers and finished them. Fourth day I did the background. It's a high value product and you do get your value for your hard work and the material once you sell off your item. But inventory keeping is most crucial because you are always having surplus of cloth, you are having surplus of paints and brushes. You start with few colors, mix and match, and you can get almost all colors if you have the three basic pigments, cyan, magenta, and yellow. They can give you all types of shades that you want to work in. So it should not be a restriction. And gradually you can experiment with the various ways of doing this painting, how intensive, how intricate you want the work to be, what is the end value that you're going to put to it, how much is the patron ready to invest. All these things will determine your motive. So as I was saying, that I always discuss with them, their budget and my budget for the end product and the theme and story that we are trying to communicate.
Unfortunately, the dyes that are used, that the cheap dyes that are used, are not very, you can say, are slightly hazardous, and the conditions in which these workshops are working, I would not advise everyone to use those dyes. But as a matter of employment, people are using it. So by giving this art to them, we can only add value to what they are already doing. When we are using silk paints or silk dyes, which are slightly expensive but they are less hazardous to the human and to the environment.
It can also be an employment generation venture, or you can join the people who are already in the handmade art industry.
What you get at the end of it is a defined shape and color on the fabric. You can think about creating everyday items like pouches which are personalized, corporate gifting, uh, luxury wear, saris and salwar suits and stoles, scarves. This is a very exciting field for young people who want to pursue art and also want to make it as an entrepreneurship or maybe as a source of income. This form of art, the wearable art form, is very much in demand these days because at the end of it, everyone is looking for a unique product, which is uh, which is a statement about themselves, which also supports an artist. You can set up your own boutique or tailoring unit in which some of these items can be paired up to create an ensemble. As you will see, Instagram and Facebook and websites like Etsy and Amazon, they have specific, you can say, sections for selling handmade items. And these items will have clientele all across the world because when it is on social media, when it is on Instagram and Etsy, some of these sites are free, so you can put your content, put your items and designs for free. Some of these have a revenue sharing kind of model. So sites like Etsy, etc., or Amazon will take a small percentage of your sales made through them. Many people are able to do it through WhatsApp. So most of these are free and they really give an artist a scale of market and people to view their products from all across the globe.